Netflix occasionally comes out with some spicy content that I think is meant to lure in viewers simply out of prudish uproar. So will the new German thriller Fall For Me create a smolder or piss off the masses? Lilli travels to the sunny island of Mallorca to visit her sister and take a well-needed break. When Lilli arrives, her sister reveals a whirlwind engagement to a charming Frenchman. Suspicions arise about relationships and land deals, and Lilli finds herself unexpectedly drawn to a mysterious club manager who seemingly meets her every desire. Netflix classifies this as an erotic thriller, and there is a fair amount of eroticism that's built into the story. Now, unlike some of the other films and shows that I've seen that also attempt to fit in this genre, Fall For Me doesn't focus on severely problematic relationships. The romance that we watch play out between Lilli and Tom, the club manager, it's intense and fast-moving. But aside from a tryst towards the end, their interactions are hot, lusty, and mutual. The story here is fairly straightforward, despite its attempt to present itself as a convoluted and twisted mystery. The sisters, they don't have the strongest relationship, and because one of them wants to sell some family property and the other is hesitant, there's conflict between them. And to complicate matters is a pushy and overbearing real estate developer who is pressuring them to sell, while also then making them a quite generous offer. Now this is where the story is way too obvious and lacks any sort of intrigue, despite its effort. The characters, they're all thinly developed, some by design so that they remain mysterious, while others are just kind of there with cursory background thrown at them in hopes it will connect or care. Spoiler, it didn't work. I wasn't connecting with any of the characters. Even when Lilli is our supposed protagonist, who we're meant to root for and then feel concern for, I mean, she's a fine character, but the story is presented in such a way that she's just thrust on us, and then it tosses her into scenarios that are rushed. We're privy to a brief phone conversation that Lilli's having at the very start of the movie, and it makes it seem like there's more to the call that's going to be explored later. Nope, it's just to semi-show that she's involved in finance and gets to make some decisions within her job. Does that come into play later? Barely. The plot uses it to allow her to make one decision, but then the character goes against her smarts and starts to believe anything that's given to her. I mean, the skepticism that she has disappears very quickly, and it doesn't feel earned. Like we're meant to believe because she got an O from some rando, she just now tosses all uncertainty right out the window with her unmentionables. The abrupt change in personality that we watch, it's forced for the storytelling to create conveniences that then allow additional actions to take place unhindered. Now, there is a deeper arc at play within the movie, but the story barely scratches the surface, simply hinting at actions and motives instead of spending some time to explore areas that could make the mystery stronger and then the antagonists more dreadful. There is a longevity and history at work within some of the story villains, as well as scheming and manipulation at play within the plot. But what we get is superficial and basic, skimping on depth in favor of speed, which then leads to lackluster intrigue and a general lack of urgency or thrills. And to make the story progression even more difficult to become hooked by, the editing creates a very choppy experience, dropping time and even establishing shots so that it feels as though transitional scenes, they're just simply cut out or missing. This doesn't happen through every scene, but there are enough of these wonky jumps to make the issue noticeable and then bothersome. Now, despite me focusing on a lot of the issues, there are some positives to the film. First, the locations are beautiful. The coastal shots, they're stunning and showcase these turquoise waters that just butt up right against red cliffs, which then are surrounded by forests and luxurious homes. The scenery works to draw our eyes and then showcase how much of an oasis the location is, creating a believable motive where a developer becomes pushy, even threatening, in order to secure a sale of highly desirable property. And then, since this is an erotic thriller, at least some of the people need to be kind of attractive and worthy of our gaze. And there are a handful that are toned and tanned and positioned to showcase the allure of their nakedness. So if you are going into this hoping for some spicy scenes, you're not going to be disappointed. There are at least a handful that you wouldn't want to watch with your parents, preschoolers, or your priest, because they get kind of steamy. But one sequence, which I had mentioned previously, was more bothersome and difficult to watch than it was romantic, even hot. I found myself questioning the behavior, especially because it appeared more Stockholm Syndrome-ish than really healthy. I mean, not that there's any of that syndrome actually involved within the storytelling. I wanted to like this way more than I did. The chemistry between Lilli and Tom, it's passionate and fairly believable, but that's not enough to carry the story. The overarching plot is simplistic and obvious, lacking nuance, complexity, even curiosity. Despite a beautiful location and attractive actors, the thinly developed characters, choppy editing, and uneven pacing, along with character decisions that contradict themselves, all work to minimize any mystique and thrills, leaving this to be a series of trysts connected by unengaging and lackluster storytelling. There is a lot of sex and nudity, a bunch of profanity, and then some violence. I give Fall for Me 1.5 out of 5 couches. This could have been a way better thrill ride. Alright, since we're sticking with the theme of this movie, are there any erotic thrillers that you want to admit to liking? I mean, there was a plethora of them in the 80s and the 90s, like Body Heat, Basic Instinct. Now for me, I remember enjoying Swimming Pool, but let me know yours in the comments below. If you enjoyed this review, please give it a like. Also, don't forget to share and subscribe. I'm Chris. This is Movies and Munchies. Thanks for couching with me.